Here we go. All right. All right, chat. We should be good. We should be good now. I apologize for that. We started the stream up, and then I realized that my computer needed an update, and not only did it need an update, but it was just running extremely, extremely slow. So apparently it needed to be restarted. That's why I had to abruptly end that last stream, but we are back, and we should be okay now. Let me see. Let me drop a few notifications in the Discord. Let everyone know that we are officially live this time. We are officially live this time. Let's see who gets in the chat first. What's up, Olivia? What's up, Will? Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Let me get comments pulled up on my end. There we go. What's up, Gina? What's up, Elliot? Yeah, much better. Yeah, I noticed when I tried to stream the first time, I was getting like 10 frames per second. Like it was horrible. I needed to update my computer and give it a fresh restart. That's never happened before, so I'm not sure what was up with that, but we seem to be okay now. So how's everybody doing today? We are going to be talking about explaining the anxiety cycle as simple as possible. You guys know I like to try to keep things as simple as possible, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing here today, talking about the anxiety cycle, and we're going to get going on that in just a minute. What's up, PJ? Welcome, dude. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. I think I've got everything pretty much done that I need to do. Let's see, let's see. Should be good, should be good. What's up, Cassie? Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Let's see here, okay. Still have the flu, still feeling a little bit rough there, Elliot. I understand, dude. We talked the other day a little bit about the cycle. We always talk a little bit about the anxiety cycle here on the channel, but I don't know, it just kind of sparked something in me. I was like, we've been getting a lot of new subscribers here recently. There's a lot of people that are still fresh to the channel, so let's just make a video that kind of sums everything up. You know what I mean? Let's make a stream where we just kind of talk about the basics. We talk about the anxiety cycle, and we try to put it as simply as possible for all of our new people here. Not only all of our new people, but you guys too, because there's nothing wrong with a little bit of a refresher course, right? Just to kind of keep you on track. Flu sucks, man. Keep yourself hydrated. Yeah, stay hydrated, Elliot. Stay rested, dude. You'll be back at it in no time, man. You'll be back at it. We're going to give it just another minute or two. Let some people get in here. Let me go ahead and drop the link to the Discord. Let's see. Copy. There we go. Drop the link to the Discord for whoever wants it, whoever wants to join us over on the Discord. I think we've officially passed almost 570, 73, 575. We're about 15, I don't know, that's a very rough number. We're about 15 or so odd people away from passing 600 users over on the Discord, so that is exciting. Right there's the link. Anybody who wants to join can do so. And we're going to get rolling in just a second. Talking the basics is actually really good. Yes, try to keep it as simple as possible, right? Ones that have been in recovery for a while can overcomplicate it, so making sure we have a refresher on it simply helps. Yes, exactly. So, like I said, this stream is not only for all of our new subscribers that we've been getting recently, but it's also for all of you people that have been here for a little bit, just to kind of give you a refresher if you're still in that recovery mode, just to kind of give you a little refresher to take with you today. So I always try to top myself when it comes to making these as simple as possible videos. If you look through my channel, you'll find several videos with that in the title, as simple as possible. And I always try to one up myself, and see if I can do an even better one next time, see if I can make it even more simple next time. So that's what we're going to be doing. So that's what we're going to be doing. All right, guys, we're about 4 minutes into this thing. We might as well go ahead and get started. Boom, get rid of that. That means we are officially rolling. So, the anxiety cycle. We're just going to jump right into it, guys. Explaining the anxiety cycle as simple as possible. Whew. Okay, now as you guys know, I don't really come into these things kind of pre-planned. I do a lot better if I'm just speaking off the top of my head and just letting the words roll. So that's what we're going to be doing, explaining the anxiety cycle as simple as possible. So for starters, we gotta somehow give you a mental image, a mental picture, and we used the fire analogy the couple days ago, but we want you to kind of follow us along here as we go. So we want you to kind of hold this in your head. So let's say you've got something that lives inside your brain. That sounds creepy, doesn't it? You've got something that lives inside your brain, and its job, right? And I'm not going to use big, overcomplicated terms. We're going to keep it as simple as possible. This thing that lives inside of your brain, right? About the size of a little almond. Its job is to save your life. Its job is to provide you with the chemicals necessary to save your life if you're ever in real danger, right? Fight or flight. Its job is to provide you with the chemicals necessary to conjure up the strength to fight whatever might be threatening your life or to run away from whatever might be threatening your life, right? This little thing that kind of just lives up here in your brain, that is its job. That is its one job, that's the only job it has. That's what it lives for, right? Is to keep you safe and to provide you with the necessary chemicals when needed to save your life. Now, this little thing doesn't discriminate. Here's where we run into a problem, right? Here's where we run into a problem with this little thing that lives into your brain. It doesn't discriminate. Okay, and it's not very good at determining what is a real threat, what is a real danger, and what's not a real threat or a real danger. So it's not very good at that. It's good at its job, right? Which is to save you from danger and provide you with the necessary chemicals, anxiety and panic to save you, to get you fighting, to get you running from real dangers. It's good at its job, but it's not very good at determining what is a real threat and what is a real danger or not. It's not very good at that. So you've got this little part of your brain lives up there, and its job is to protect you, right? It's to protect you, to give you these chemicals. It's very good at its job, but it's not very good at determining what is a real danger and what is a real threat. Therefore, this is where we run into the issue with a lot of people, right? This is where we run into the problem, right? Therefore, since this thing is not very good at determining what is a real threat or what is a real danger, it doesn't discriminate. So up here you have what we call your thinking mind, right? Everybody knows what it means to think. Everybody knows what it means to go around and have conversations with themselves in their head, right? Everybody's very familiar with what that is and what that means. It's to go around and basically have an internal conversation with yourself. Now, here's where we run into a bit of an issue. That little part of your brain that's responsible for protecting you and flooding you with these chemicals in order to save your life, it thinks, okay, it doesn't know any better. It thinks that whatever's happening up here in your thinking mind, that internal conversation that you're having with yourself, right? It thinks that that too could be a danger. It thinks that that too could be a threat. So if you're up here into the thinking mind, and you've got a lot of what we call, you guys know what I'm about to say probably, a lot of what we call second fear going on. If you've got a lot of what we call second fear going on, which is basically just a negative, frightening, scary internal conversation with yourself. Now, I'm not talking about the thoughts, they just kind of pop up, negative, intrusive thoughts. I'm talking when you consciously make the choice to have that internal conversation with yourself where you fight with the feelings, where you fight with the thoughts, where you tell yourself horror stories about these thoughts and about these feelings, right? We call this second fear. Now, that little part of your brain that's responsible for saving your life, we know it's very good at its job, right? But we also know that it's not very good at determining what's real and what's not. So it thinks, right? This is where the problem comes into play. It thinks that whatever's happening up here in that thinking mind, it could be a real danger, could be a real threat. So here's the problem, and here's the entire cycle. When people go about their day always having that negative internal conversation with themselves where they're fighting the thoughts and feelings, what does that sound like? I'll give you a few examples. Oh, God, I really don't want to deal with this anxiety. That little protection mechanism says, hey, is something wrong? Look at the way you're up here doing, right? Oh God, what if today's the day? What if I go crazy? I don't really want to go crazy, right? Or oh God, what if this bad thing happens? Oh gosh, I guess maybe it could happen. Oh no, I really don't want to. I really don't want to do this. This could end horribly. Or oh gosh, I really hope this anxiety leaves me alone. I don't want to feel this ever again. This is horrible. This is awful. This is so bad. What if something happens because of this? What if some bad, awful thing happens because of this? Blah 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 blah. Right? We've all been there. We've all been there. The problem with all of that, the problem with all of the blah, 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 and never shutting up, the problem with all of this going on up here, oh gosh, there was that thought, I don't want to go crazy. That thought said I might go crazy. I might go crazy. I don't want to go crazy, blah, blah, blah. Let me get on Google and let me Google the statistics of people that lose their minds, right? The problem with all of this crap that's going on up here in the thinking mind is that it has a direct connection to that little part of your brain that lives up in your brain that is trying to keep you safe. And again, that little part of your brain does not discriminate. That little part of your brain does not understand what's a real danger and what's not a real danger. So the problem with being up here with all the blah 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 and the overcomplication and the over confusing yourself and the mental draw, the problem with all the shit that you are entertaining up here is that it has a direct line. It has a direct line of communication to the part of your brain, back to the part of your brain that's trying to save you. Now the problem is that part of your brain doesn't know what's a real danger and what's not a real danger. So when you're always up here and you're never catching yourself, we've always told people on the channel, stop fighting with those thoughts, stop fighting with those feelings. Put simply, shut up, right? When those thoughts come, so be it. When those feelings come, so be it. That's the attitude you keep instead of getting into all of the blah, 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 the internal conversation with yourself. So we tell people to stop fighting with those thoughts and feelings. And the reason we do that is because that part of your brain that's responsible for protecting you, that direct line of communication that goes from thinking all the way back, it's only got one direct line, and that's danger signals, danger signals, danger signals. So there's no point in arguing with it. There's no point in arguing with it and trying to appease it and trying to fight with these thoughts and feelings, because the only connection from your thinking mind up here back to that part of your brain responsible for saving your life is danger. That's the only connection. That's the only connection. And that's why you're wasting your time when you fight with all the thoughts and feelings. That's why you're wasting your time when you sit there obsessing. Because the only connection available between up here and back here is danger, danger, danger. Right? So, again, you've got this little part of your brain responsible for saving your life. And the only connection that you've got to that little part of the brain, you don't necessarily have an off switch. That happens, kind of as you heal, up and down, whatever. You don't necessarily have an off switch connection. The only connection that you have to that part of your brain responsible for saving your life is danger, 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 danger. So when you don't shut up, right? When you don't shut up, and when you continue to have these internal negative conversations where you fight these thoughts and fight these feelings and all this crap's going on up here, and you're continuing to partake in this, and you're continuing to have this internal conversation with yourself that's rooted in all of this second fear, the only connection you've got to that part of your brain responsible for your anxiety is danger, danger. So you just keep tossing it back. You just keep tossing those danger signals, tossing those danger signals. Now, I know that you are not responsible for the negative intrusive thoughts that pop up in your head, but you are responsible for all of this nasty second fear, aka all of this not shutting up, right? All of this not shutting up. And this isn't about fighting the thoughts and feelings and trying to become this all-powerful positive person. It's just about shutting up, because now you know that there's only one connection between the thinking mind and that amygdala, right? I said I wouldn't use big terms, but I will for a second. There's only one connection, and that's extra danger signals. So you're wasting your time. You truly are wasting your time when you fight with these thoughts and feelings. You're just tossing back more danger signals. You're running in circles here and stressing yourselves out, and that's how we eventually break the nerves down, right? So if you want to give those nerves a break, and if you want to give that little part of your brain that's responsible for saving your life, aka responsible for setting your anxiety levels, if you want to give all of that a break, you have to catch yourself. You have to practice, and this takes effort. You have to practice putting in the work of catching yourself when you're up there in the thinking mind going blah, 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 arguing with all the thoughts and feelings, telling yourself the same old horror stories, entertaining the same old BS thoughts. You have to catch yourself when you're up in the thinking mind doing that and say, you know what, so be it to these thoughts and feelings. Or whatever little reminder you like, right? You have to put in the effort to do that so that you can stop sending those, throwing those danger signals back there. You have to put in the effort to do that, and that's why we say, and that's why we've always said, stop fighting the thoughts and feelings, because you're just running that pathway to death of danger, danger, danger. You're running that connection, there we go, that's a better word. You're running that connection to death. You're beating it to death every single day because you're up here, blah, 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 blah. Right? Now, again, I know you're not responsible for every negative, intrusive thought that pops in your head. That's out of your control. But you are you are responsible for getting up in your head, okay, and fighting with all of it. Okay? You are responsible for that. You are responsible for that. You are not responsible for the negative, intrusive thoughts that pop up in your head. You are not responsible for the feelings as they come and go, but you are responsible for getting up into your thinking mind and entertaining all of the BS horror stories. You are responsible for getting up into your thinking mind and telling yourself horror stories. You are responsible for getting up into your thinking mind and fighting with these thoughts and feelings. You are responsible for that. There is nothing attacking you. There's nothing doing this to you. You are responsible for the main part of recovery, okay, that's going to lead to your recovery. That part's in your hands. And you got to take that self-responsibility, and you got to build that awareness, and you got to put in that effort. So next time that I catch myself up here, blah, 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 I know I'm just shooting back danger signals, shooting back danger signals. Next time I catch myself up here, I got to take a step back, and I got to remind myself whatever happens, happens, you know? I got to take a step back and I got to say, okay, I'm entertaining that crap again, but you know what? Whatever happens, happens, and then I go back to living. Living your life is one of the two main keys, and that just basically means get on with your day. That's all that means. So I gotta make a conscious effort to notice when I'm up there doing that and say, you know what? Okay, whatever's going to happen's going to happen. I'm going to slowly come back out into life now. Slowly go back out into living life now. You know, even if that's something as simple as picking my nose, whatever. It just means continue on with your day. I got to put in the conscious effort to notice when I'm sending all those danger signals, right? With all of that talking to myself. That's basically what that is, talking to myself. I got to notice when I'm doing that, and I got to put in the effort to break that habit and say enough is enough. And I've got to rinse and repeat that, and get right back into living. That's the two main keys in a nutshell right there. So the anxiety cycle, put as simply as possible, is like this. You've got a part of your brain responsible for giving you anxiety. That part of your brain does not know the difference between a real threat and all of that nasty second fear, aka all of that you talking to yourself. Doesn't know the difference. So I got to put in the effort to catch that and say, you know what, whatever happens, happens. You know, enough is enough. Whatever happens, happens. So be it. And then go back to living my life. And I've got to rinse and repeat that and let these thoughts burn themselves up. Let these feelings burn themselves up while I keep an accepting attitude. Whew, that was a mouthful, chat. That was a mouthful. All right. I hope that helps somebody out there understand why it is so important to stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings, and so important to stop telling yourself all of these fucking horror stories, right? I hope that helps someone understand the anxiety cycle a little bit better, because I know it can seem confusing. I know it can seem so super complicated, but it's really not at the end of the day. So hopefully that helps somebody out there, man. Hopefully it does. Whew. Let's switch on over to the post stream and see who we've got in chat. What's up, Foo Man? Hey, Wonder Bro. I haven't been in a stream in a while. I probably won't be for a very long time, if ever. I just wanted to check in and say thank you. Your streams and videos help me. No longer have DPDR. Congrats on 10K. That is awesome, dude. Congrats. Do you script before you speak? Because I could never say all that without stuttering or pausing to think of the right words. How do you do it? I just like to let it flow, man. I like to let it flow. No, I don't. We were talking about that earlier. I mentioned I don't script. I just kind of let it flow. If you watch enough of my streams, you'll find plenty of moments where I have to stop and think. You'll find plenty of moments where the words don't come out quite as right. So just because I was on point today doesn't mean I always am. Just because I was on point today doesn't mean I always am. All right, let's pull up the comments over here. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with Elliot there. Having my ups and downs. What's up, Pooty? I must have missed your comment there. But my up's not hitting me like before. Once a time through the day, I come back to my old self. Even new thoughts don't scare me anymore. You're definitely on the right track, Pooty, and you have been for quite some time, dude. Just keep it up at this point. Just keep it up. I needed that speech today. Really hard to accept the last days. I cannot hear this stuff often enough. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a little reminder, dude, as long as you're putting it into use, right? Nothing wrong with a little reminder as long as you're using it. It's what I always say, you know, there's no problem with getting reminders, there's no problem with getting support or watching the videos or any of that good stuff, as long as you're using it, right? As long as you're putting it into use. That's the important part. You got to be putting it into use. I did go off on a bit of a speech there though today. But see, that's it's just so crucial, guys. It's so important that we try to make it as simple as possible. It really is. It's so crucial because I think, you know, personally thinking about it, I've been doing this for a long time, and the biggest problem that I see with most people is that overcomplication. And that overcomplication, ironically enough, is just more forms of second fear. It's just more forms of getting in your head and sending more danger signals. That's all it is. So, you know, overcomplication can be a big one that really kind of slows people down on the progress they could be making because they're just up in their head sending more danger signals. And the whole point of recovery is to try to shut up. It's to try to shut up as often as possible. Stop talking to yourself. Let those thoughts and feelings come and go. And when you notice them, you know, you can give yourself a simple little reminder like, so be it. It is what it is. But don't get involved into that big, long, drawn out internal conversation. You're just talking to yourself. To put it simply, you're just talking to yourself. And all of that talking to yourself about these thoughts and feelings is just sending danger signals. It's not really doing anything except keeping you where you are, right? It's not really accomplishing anything outside of that. So, you know, it's ironic. People can use the advice and overcomplicate that, and then they get up in their head, and it leads to more danger signals rather than taking the advice at face value, right? And just trying to get quiet and trying to stop having that internal conversation with yourself and allowing these thoughts and feelings rather than logging in, right? Which means to get involved in that internal conversation, that internal debate, which just sends those danger signals. So, yeah, overcomplication is huge. It's huge. Huge. Yeah, Nightbot is spazzing out again. Lost my appetite and walked in anxiety around my apartment more than I ever had. So, you know, all you've done is you've just continued to talk yourself into this state. That's basically what it is. You've just continued to talk yourself into this state. Now, there's nothing you need to do to quote unquote talk yourself out of it, but you have talked yourself into it. Now, you can let this fire naturally die down by dropping the internal conversation, getting quiet, shutting up, right? So, these thoughts come, these feelings come, but you have nothing to say. That's a good way to put it, isn't it? These thoughts come, these feelings come, but you have nothing to say. And now you've talked yourself into this state, and this state can come down as long as you stop talking, and you have nothing to say. That way, you're not sending more bull crap, more danger signals, more danger signals. So, you've talked yourself into this state. You don't need to necessarily talk yourself out of it. You just need to leave it alone now and let it naturally, you know, simmer out. Because nine times out of ten, the reason I say, you know, don't try to talk yourself out of it is because you're still just doing too much talking. You're still just working yourself up more. So the little reminders, the little accepting reminders are good to have, but you know, there's no need to try to obsess your way out of something. What's good? What's up, Tony? I've been noticing when I catch thoughts happening that I don't need around or want that they disappear, and it feels like I'm fighting the thoughts away. Or is it good that they? You're shutting up, right? So chances are when you say I notice thoughts and then they stop happening, chances are you just noticed that you were talking to yourself and then they stopped happening, right? And then they stopped happening because you noticed that you were talking to yourself, so you got out of the habit. In that moment, you kind of threw a monkey wrench into the habit. So that's fine. That's fine. And then if you wander off again or if thoughts come again, and then you notice again, and you're like, okay, there's that thought. It is what it is. Then you kind of put a, you know, you're breaking the habit. You're breaking out of the cycle, right? You're breaking out of the cycle. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with breaking out of the cycle. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to break out of the cycle of the constant entertainment of thoughts, out of the constant negative horror story inner dialogue. We need to accept the thoughts and feelings, and we need to become more self-aware of when we're having that conversation with them and when we're having that negative internal conversations with ourselves, and switch it to an attitude of whatever thoughts come, whatever feelings come, right? So when we notice that there's, some thoughts or whatever floating around in our heads, we don't have anything to say anymore because we're not going to fuel all this up anymore. We're not going to get involved in this talking to ourselves, this fighting talking to ourselves that's just going to energize everything, right? So noticing when it's happening and breaking out of the cycle, that's definitely not a bad thing. Definitely not a bad thing at all. And that's why we say accept the thoughts, accept the feelings, right? What's up, Max? Welcome, dude. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. And we were just talking about that the other day, actually, Elliot, how that can kind of feel like a fight. How that can kind of feel like a fight. It can kind of feel like a fight when you're breaking out of the cycle, but the thing is you're not fighting, and that kind of feels like a fight. You're breaking the habit of fighting. And that in itself might feel like a fight to you, but no, you're just putting in the effort to break the habit of fighting. So that's not a fight. If you're fighting anything, you're fighting the habit, which, in that case, I guess we could use the word fight, okay. I don't like to use the word fight, but if you're fighting anything, you're just fighting the bad habit. So we'll let that slide, right? But at the end of the day, you're stopping the habit of fighting, which in itself might feel like a fight because you're getting these thoughts and you're saying to these thoughts, okay, so be it, and I'm going back to living instead of getting involved in the internal conversation, right? You're just accepting the thoughts and feelings, and that in itself might feel like you're fighting something, but if you're not really fighting anything, the only thing you're fighting is that habit. So we'll give you a slide, we'll give you a pass on the word fight there if we're talking about fighting the habit. But instead, let's drop the word fight completely and let's just say you're breaking the habit of fighting, which might feel like a power struggle. It might feel like you're fighting something, but you're just breaking a bad habit, right? That's what you're doing. You're breaking a bad habit because here's the thing, Elliot. You could have had that thought and you could have got involved in the internal conversation. Oh gosh, what if that does happen? Here's what I can do if that happens, blah, 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 and go on and on for hours and just keep sending these danger signals, blah, blah, blah. You could have done that, but instead you said I became aware of these thoughts. There they are, right? And then they seem to kind of disappear. It's because you shut up. It's because you didn't get involved in the internal conversation. It's because you did just remind yourself, okay, there it is, whatever happens, happens. So you see what we're saying? You're breaking a habit, and you should be proud of yourself. Hey, Elliot, dude. Elliot coming through with the $40 tip, man. Elliot coming through just about breaking the tip goal all by himself. All by himself, chat. Elliot, thank you so much for the $40 tip, man. Let me add that up. He also left a tip note and said, Word cannot explain how much this channel means to me nowadays. I wish I could do more. Elliot, thank you so much, dude. You don't have to worry about doing more. You do enough for me. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you. Hey, can we get a huge shout out in the chat for Elliot, man? Almost breaking the tip goal and keeping our streak alive by himself. Sup, Wonder Bro? Haven't been on your stream in a minute. Just wanted to say congrats on 10K. Honestly, you deserve more because of how many times or how many lives you saved and how consistent you are. Much love. Nacho Bear, I haven't seen you in a minute, dude. How have you been? I hope you're doing great, man. It's good to hear from you. Thank you for that positive message, dude. I appreciate it. What's up, Ripe Soul? Wonder Bro, I have days when I really at peace, then days I could bite someone's head off. That sounds about normal. That sounds about normal. Like, no patience for my family and what they do. I don't act out, just accept. I assume this is just part of recovery. Having your emotions kind of all over the place, being a little irritated from time to time. I mean, you're going through a lot, dude. This is a big journey for you. This is a big change for you. So, of course, you're a little frustrated from time to time. Give yourself some slack, you know? This is so very true. Much gratitude and love to you, Wonder Bro. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. I was reading what Dare is all about. They don't talk about not following your thoughts at all. Can you heal 100% only by exposing yourself to triggers and thinking whatever you're thinking? So basically, when Dare, I've read some of Dare, and they do talk about intrusive thoughts, and the way they kind of approach it is to not get involved with them, to not fight them. They kind of approach it in like a bring it on way, and we've talked about that too. Either way you want to look at it's fine. So they do talk about it, but they use more of the aggressive approach from what I remember. They use more of the aggressive approach. It's like, bring it on, you know, I don't care if these thoughts are there. And that's the same thing as what I say. When I say don't follow your thoughts, that's the same thing. So when Dare says, you know, thoughts are like bullies, you know, just kind of stand up to them instead of fearing them and fighting with them, and just, you know, kind of had that bring it on attitude instead of fighting with them. That's the same exact thing I'm saying when I say don't follow your thoughts. I'm just not putting it in such an aggressive way. I'm just simply saying when you have these thoughts, just notice them, accept them, and get on with your day, right? It's the same thing that Dare is saying when they say, you know, that thoughts are like bullies. That thoughts are like bullies and don't fight with them, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same exact concept, just worded a different way. At the end of the day, whether you're talking about Dare, whether you're talking about me, whether you're talking about Dr. Claire Weeks, whoever you're talking about, anybody who's talking about acceptance, we're all talking about the same thing at the end of the day, which is to stop giving this stuff fuel, which is to just say whatever happens, happens, which is to just say, okay, so be it, instead of getting involved in this big internal fight and this big internal struggle. It's the same thing. It's just worded many different ways, right? But it's all the same thing at the end of the day. So I can understand how you might be a little bit confused there, but when I say don't follow your thoughts, that simply means don't fight with your thoughts. That simply means don't add to them. That simply means catch yourself doing that and change it to so be it, right? So that's the same thing as when Dare says thoughts are like, you know, bullies. Just don't fear them. Don't fight with them. Right? It's the same thing at the end of the day. Hope that clears that up for you. What's up, Gina? Max, man, Max coming in with a $10 tip, which puts us at tip goal, guys. Thank you so much. That leads us to our 9-day streak. 9-day streak, man. Thank you so much, Max. I know we didn't stream yesterday, okay, but that's not your guys' fault. That's why we're keeping the streak alive. So just because I had an off day yesterday does not mean the streak starts over. That's not your guys' fault. So we're keeping the streak alive. Thank you so much, Max. Thank you so much, Elliot. There was a quote that might help you understand even more, Asen, that I read the other day. I'll read it real quick. The original thought arrived by itself. You didn't choose it. The resulting stream of thoughts, on the other hand, is something you can choose to indulge in or not. Thinking is a choice. The more you become aware of your tendency to do this, the easier it becomes to stop yourself mid-sentence. And what that quote is saying there is, if I get a thought that says I might go crazy, I can choose to either argue with that or I can choose to stop myself from arguing with that and just accept it, right? Right? But in theory, can you heal 100% only by triggering yourself and not dealing with keeping your thoughts in acceptance? Can you be 100% freaked out until exhausted and then heal? So basically what you're saying is what we've always been saying. You say, can you heal 100% only by triggering yourself and not dealing with keeping your thoughts in acceptance? Well, here's the problem with that. I mean, sure, if you've got an accepting attitude and you're triggered and you accept the feelings, then yeah, you can make great progress. But if you're up in your head adding second fear all day, that's where that happens. Second fear kind of happens up in your head. And if you'll read Dr. Claire Weeks' books, and if you'll read the Dare book, it's, all of these things will tell you about your attitude. And what does your attitude come down to? It comes down to what you're telling yourself. So if you're constantly freaking yourself out with a ton of second fear, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you. So when Dare, for example, when they talk about attitude, or Dr. Claire Weeks talks about the accepting attitude, what they're basically saying is you got to stop telling yourself all these horror stories. Now, I know you're not responsible for every negative, intrusive thought that pops up in your head, but you got to stop adding second fear to them. So, and I know that feels like a lot of work, but I see where you're going wrong here. I see where you're kind of overcomplicating it here. You're kind of thinking, well, I got to keep my thoughts 100% check in order to make progress. No, we've never asked you to keep your thoughts in check. Your intrusive thoughts can do whatever they want. Your feelings can do whatever they want, but you got to stop adding to it. So you are correct in that just feel it, right? So these thoughts can do whatever they want and these feelings can do whatever they want. It's not your job to keep your thoughts in check. You can't help what thoughts come. Your only job though is to not add to it. It's to greet these thoughts with an accepting attitude. It's to greet these feelings with an accepting attitude. They can stay, they can come, they can stay, they can come, they can do whatever the hell they want to do, right? Your only job is not to keep them in check. If you're trying to do that, then you're trying to do the impossible. These thoughts come whether you like it or not. These feelings come whether you like it or not. Your only job is to not add to it. You get what we're saying there? So if you're getting a ton of thoughts every day that are scary and negative, that's not your fault. You don't have to beat yourself up for that. Please stop thinking that, right? Your only job is to not add to it. That's your job. That's your only job. So I can kind of see where you might be freaking yourself out a little bit. Oh gosh, I got to get rid of all these thoughts. I got to keep all these thoughts in check, right? But it's not your job to determine what thoughts come and what thoughts don't. Your only job is to stop adding to it, which means to be quiet, which means when these thoughts do come, you have nothing to say. You have nothing to say to them, unless it's a little accepting reminder to yourself, right? But other than that, you have nothing to say to these thoughts. You see what I'm getting at? Today I'm trying not to follow my thoughts, but they just keep popping like popcorn. And that's fine, dude. Max power, that's fine. I don't feel anxiety. I'm just very agitated and restless. 2 days ago it was much easier. See, you're going to have ups and downs, dude. You're going to have moments where it's game time, and right now it's game time. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen. It's going to feel like you're in a popcorn machine on max power. But that's not your problem, and that's not your fault, and that's not something you got to worry about. As long as you're not debating with them, as long as you're not fighting with them, which is just going to fuel them up, right? Then you're good. So these thoughts might be popping all over the place. They might be. But as long as you're not adding to them, eventually they'll stop popping all over the place. So it's not necessarily a comfortable process. And we've never said it's a comfortable process. It's not necessarily a comfortable process, but your only one job is to not add to. So your thoughts might be all over the place today. Your feelings might be all over the place today. But as long as you're not getting involved in that internal conversation battle, blah, blah, blah this, blah, blah, blah that, then you're good, dude. You're good. Stop basing recovery off the way that you feel and just start basing recovery off of whether or not you're adding to. Right? As long as you're sticking to that, you're good. As long as you're sticking to that, you're good. It's not necessarily a comfortable process. And see, that's where a lot of people go wrong. Oh, I don't feel comfortable. I must be doing something wrong. No, you're not going to feel comfortable sometimes. Right? That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. As long as you're not adding to, you're on track. Right? So just keep that in mind and continue to stop adding to, and eventually it's going to fall into place. Right? I think Elliot might be behind on the stream because he asked if his donation went through. Yeah, we talked about it. I think he's behind on the stream. Oh wait, no, he said just saw it come through. Never mind. Okay, you might be a little behind. I'm not sure. At what point do you personally think is the point of a panic attack? Basically, you get the feelings up to it, but at what point do you personally know that it's a full-blown attack? For me, it seems to be a sinking feeling. Well, that's just using terms, right? So I think you'll know when you're having a panic attack. Like, I don't think there's any denying it. I don't think there's any confusion. you'll know. You'll know. So I think, you might just be trying to get these terms down exactly perfect, and that's really not needed because whether you're experiencing anxiety or panic, it's irrelevant. Acceptance is still the way to go. So don't get too concerned about, and what I'm feeling, is this anxiety? Is this heightened anxiety? Is this panic? And don't get too concerned on trying to make sure that you've got a label for everything that you feel, right? Because it's all going to be greeted with acceptance anyway. It's all going to be greeted with acceptance anyway, so don't really try to concern yourself too much with trying to make sure you label down everything that you feel, right? If it's anxiety, panic, whatever, it's all going to be greeted with don't add to it. Don't fight with it. Don't add fear to the fear, right? Which comes down to what you tell yourself. So drop that nasty second fear, which comes down to what, chat, basically at the end of the day comes down to just shutting up and allowing what is happening to happen as far as your anxiety and panic is concerned. So my advice would be not to, don't overcomplicate it for yourself, dude. Don't try to perfect the terms or label every anxious feeling you get or every thought you get. Mind is so calm these days. Never thought I'd get to this point. Acceptance paves the way to recovery. Did I already read that? I don't think I did. All thanks to you, Wonder Bro. I appreciate that, Max. Dude, keep it up, man. Yeah, that's very common, Jay. That's very common. That's what most people experiences. Hey, I just try to keep it as simple as possible, right, Max? I think that's what it's all about, dude. And I think personally, I think that's where a lot of people may miss the mark a bit. They don't keep it as simple as it possibly could. They kind of overcomplicate it for their viewers a little bit. Not everybody, and I can't speak for everybody. I don't watch a whole lot of other people's channels, but I think just keeping it as simple as possible is the best way to go. I really do. People are not really in a state to have it overcomplicated. It basically just means shut up at the end of the day. Stop fighting with the thoughts and feelings. Shut up, shut up, shut up. You know, these thoughts come, shut up. These feelings come, shut up. And I know, yeah, I know the art of shutting up, as we called it the other day, is not something that comes naturally to a lot of people. We're argumentative by nature. That's what being a human being is all about. We want to argue everything, right? So I know it doesn't come naturally, but you got to catch yourself when you're fighting with these thoughts and feelings, right? And you got to shut up. You got to shut up. That's what it comes down to. So basically, if you want to make it as simple as possible, what we do here is we try to teach people how to shut up, and we try to teach people how to shut up and live, right? So that and instead of getting involved in the internal fight, conversation, etc., right? That's basically what we're doing here at the end of the day. We're trying to teach people how to shut up and live. When these thoughts and feelings come, just shut up and allow it to happen. Shut up and live, right? Because when you get involved, you just start pouring on the gas. When you get involved, you just start sending extra danger signals. So basically, at the end of the day, what we're doing here, put as simple as possible, we are trying to teach people how to shut up and live and to let these thoughts and feelings burn themselves up, right? It's a lot like sitting in a fire and not adding gas to that fire. Eventually, that fire will go out. I say it's like sitting in a fire because it's not always comfortable. It's not always comfortable and it's not always fun, and that's why I say it's like sitting in a fire, right? But you gotta learn the art of shutting up. You gotta learn the art of sitting in that fire and stop talking for a minute, right? Stop getting up there and talking to yourself for a minute and just let this fire burn up without pouring on the gas. Because when you get up there and you start talking, you're adding all sorts of bullcrap that doesn't need to be added, right? These things will burn themselves up. They don't need your help. I'm sorry, your body and mind does not need your help, right? And when you try to offer your help, all you're doing is you're getting up in there your head and you're talking too much. You're fueling everything. Fight, 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 right? So what we're really doing here at the end of the day is we're teaching people how to shut up. We're teaching people how to shut up and live. So if you wanted to take the two main keys, live your life and stop fighting with the thoughts and feelings, if you wanted to take the two main keys and put it like this, live your life and shut up, When those thoughts and feelings are there, shut up. Just let them happen, right? If you wanted to put it like that, you could, and you could get the same results. But the longer you keep energizing the same old bullcrap with all of this internal fighting, well, I mean, you see what happens. You see what happens. You see what happens. You see what happens when you get up there in that mental drawing board and you just keep adding to, running the same old crap, energizing the same old crap day after day, energizing, fighting with, fighting with. Now, it's not necessarily comfortable to say to these thoughts and feelings, okay, and then shut up and live your life. That's not necessarily comfortable to do. And that's why I compare it to sitting in a fire. But at the end, this fire is going to burn up and you're going to step out of it a brand new person. So, and I'm not the first person to use that analogy. That's actually a very popular, common analogy to use. So it's not exactly comfortable to do that, right? But it's what needs to be done because you're just adding gas to the fire. If the fight worked, you wouldn't be here, right? See, you say, I'm scared it'll get even worse and something bad will happen. This is just too much talking to yourself. And that's what's sending more danger signals. And that's why you work yourself up into the state that you're in. So instead of the talking yourself, try to bring that down. Let's stop talking to ourselves. Next time we feel the feelings and have the thoughts, let's stop talking to ourselves and just be with it. And how do you do that? You catch yourself when you're talking to yourself and you say, okay, there I go again. You know what? I'm coming back. Whatever happens, happens kind of attitude, right? It's a catching yourself. It's a practice. Yep, just accept it all, Max. I mean, that's the ironic thing about this whole anxiety journey. It's super simple. Is it easy to practice this habit? Not necessarily. Building a new habit's not always easy, is it? Right? So that's why I say it's super simple, but I understand that you guys need support because building a new habit is not the easiest thing in the world to do. So I get it. And that's why I'm here every day or try to be here every day, right? So I understand that yes, it's super simple, but actually putting it into work, putting in the work and doing the practice takes a little bit of dedication, takes a little bit of motivation, takes some encouragement. Like, I got to encourage you guys. I understand all of that. Super, super simple what I'm saying. When these thoughts and feelings come, like Max said, respond with okay, cool, right? And shut up, get quiet, stop talking so much, right? And then live your life. That's the two main keys in a nutshell. So I understand that's super simple to understand, right? You do that, you stop sending so much danger signals, everything starts to fall into place. That's super, super simple and easy to understand. But actually doing it, I got to get you guys on board. I got to get you dedicated, right? Because you're essentially just breaking a bad habit, and breaking a bad habit's not always easy, right? So the advice is easy, doing it's another story. But that's what I'm here for, to kind of help you guys get to that point, right? Exactly, Max. Max is nailing it, dude. Max knows what's up. And you're on the right track too, Elliot. Everybody in this chat's on the right track, man. You've got your foot in the door. We just need to get that dedication going. If you're gonna go this route, it's up to you. You're a grown adult. If you want to go the acceptance route because you see the truth in it and you've tried everything else and nothing else works, okay, well then let's get on board and let's try to get that dedication going. Let's try to get that dedication going. Stop talking to yourself so much. Stop. You're just sending more danger signals. You're just overcomplicating it all. Like Max said, you have to respond with "that's cool" or whatever, something short, sweet, and simple, right? You got to catch yourself when you're talking too much, man. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You got to break that habit. And like Max said, it becomes easier. It does become easier the more you practice it. And then one day, man, you're going to make that realization. You're going to look in the mirror and you're going to say, wow, this whole time, it wasn't the feelings that was the problem. This whole time, as you're looking in the mirror, you're going to say this, it wasn't the feelings that was ever the problem. That's not why I was getting worked up. That's not why I was suffering. You're going to say, wow, it wasn't the thoughts that was ever the problem. That's not why I was suffering. That's not why I was getting worked up. It was because I wouldn't shut up. Right? Right? One day you're going to look in the mirror, you're going to have that realization. You're going to realize there was never a boogeyman, as Dr. Claire Weeks called it. There was never a boogeyman. Right? One day you're going to make that realization. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. But you'll know. You'll know that you've made it when you look in the mirror and you can actually say that to yourself. I'm going to check out, bro. Thanks for all you do late here. Be on tomorrow if you're live. Appreciate it, Max. Thank you so much, dude, for all that you do, buddy. Have a good night. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. All that good stuff. Thanks for stopping by. Exactly, Claire Weeks. Face, accept, float, let time pass. You notice that in that little formula there, there's nothing mentioned about arguing with the thoughts and feelings. There's nothing that says you should continue to talk to yourself. It literally just says face it, accept it, float, which means just be with it, and let it happen. Right? You notice that there's nothing in there that says, oh, you need to get up and you need to try to help the process along by getting up into your mind and fighting with these thoughts and feelings. No, that's the reason you're here. That's the reason you're in the boat that you're in. Right? That's the reason you're in the boat that you're in, guys. That's the whole reason. One second, guys. I'll get back to the comments. Just checking something over here. Have I ever been to the UK? I have not. I've not been to the UK. I've got a few close friends from the UK. Well, I've got one close friend from the UK, but I've never actually been. I don't know. I've got a lot of friends here on the channel. You guys are all my friends. I'm not really sure where all of you are from, though. Yeah, probably not. I don't know why the YouTube bot is so lame, but it is. It's out of my control though. It's like it just automatically holds some things. There's nothing I can do about it really. What you doing, Nova? Nova. You sleepy today? Are you grumpy today? Sleepy and grumpy today, aren't you? I can tell just by looking at you. Tell just by looking at you, Nova. Let's see here. Right. There's that. There's that. Okay. Alright, guys, I'm gonna get back to the setup in just a second. Just a second, just a second. Alright, let's see here. Ireland, nice, Ned. You're exactly right, Ivan. You're exactly right. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thinking versus thoughts, great video. Thanks a lot for your prices, contribution, Wonder Bro. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I figured a lot of people would benefit from that video. Because there's a lot of people out there that are just constantly thinking, right? They're just constantly adding all this second fear, and then they're blaming it on their mind. Well, you got to be aware of when you're talking to yourself, and just cut that out. Change that to an accepting attitude instead. Practice that, right? Don't always try to put the blame off on, oh, well, they're thoughts that are always coming. Well, thoughts do always come. That's right. But a lot of people are just in a bad habit of talking to themselves 24/7 with all this second fear, and they're not given, they're not taking responsibility and catching that and turning that into an accepting attitude instead, right? So I wanted to do the thoughts versus thinking video just to kind of clear that up. Like, you need to be more aware of when you're talking to yourself with all of this negative second fear and cutting that out, because that is your responsibility, right? You can't always point the fingers at the mind, right? If you're up in your head consciously using the willpower to think negatively, and add all of this second fear all the time, well, that's your responsibility. You got to be aware of that. So the thoughts versus thinking video just kind of help people try to understand that. Oh yeah, like the stream if you enjoy it, guys. Like the stream, it helps the channel grow. For real, for real. Chris, do you think the two main keys can help with anxiety due to any type of severe life traumas? I think the two main keys, when it comes to acceptance, what I always like to say is that fighting with your thoughts and fighting with your feelings and trying to deny them, trying to argue with them, is just always going to be gas to the fire, regardless of what we're talking about. So I think the first big step for dealing with any sort of unsolved trauma or any sort of bad memory or whatever the case may be will always be to allow yourself to feel and not add gas to the fire. So I always like to say that the two main keys is good life advice. It's not just good anxiety advice. And I say that for that reason, because if you think about it, if you really think about it, fighting with the way that you feel and fighting with these negative thoughts, that'll never accomplish anything, will it? No. Of course not. It'll never accomplish anything. So that's why I always like to say, this is good life advice in general, not just good anxiety advice. And that's why I say that, because it'll never be beneficial. It'll never be beneficial to try to fight the way you feel, deny the way you feel, so forth and so on. Like, none of that will ever be beneficial, no matter what we're talking about. It'll never be beneficial in any sort of way. It'll just work you up further. Never be beneficial. I used the two main keys on the golf course last time I played. This can literally be used in any life. Yeah, exactly. And it comes down to that. It comes down to that reason. It'll just never be beneficial to fight with the way that you feel or to fight with your thoughts. You're just gassing it all up when you do that, right? Whatever you give energy to just carries more energy. So, you know, it'll never be beneficial to do any of that. Never, ever. Never, ever, ever will it be beneficial. just not sure how many people never experience sensitized state and some have it. Are we more sensitive persons or something else? Well, you add a lot more second fear. So I can give you some examples of that. I've had people in my personal life that I know personally that have experienced a panic attack, and of course, while it's happening, they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then after it's over, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, time to move on with my life." And they're not up in their head thinking about it. They're not up in their head having a conversation with themselves. "Oh God, this is what I need to do to get out of this anxiety. This is what I need to do to never experience that again. This is what I need to do." They're not up in their head talking all that crap, right? So they have the experience and they move on with life and they don't entertain a bunch of internal dialogue about the situation, right? So the people that usually end up in the sensitized state are the overthinkers. There you go. That's the most simplest way to put that. How do you stop overthinking so much? You switch to an attitude of acceptance. Whatever thoughts and feelings come, you switch to a fuck it, right? So that's the simplest way to put that. The people that end up in the sensitized state, even, compared to the people that just deal with normal stress and they handle it well or whatever, is that the people that end up in the sensitized state are normally just huge overthinkers. That's the difference there. And a lot of people can be overthinkers, but sensitized people take it to another extreme, don't they? So there's a difference between being an overthinker and being a huge overthinker, right? So most people that end up sensitized, they take it to a whole nother level. They take it to a whole nother extreme with the overthinking. A whole nother extreme. So, I mean, everyone in chat can agree with that. I guarantee everybody in chat right now is like, oh, yeah, you're right. I've always been a huge overthinker. I've always been a huge overthinker. I don't know how to shut the fuck up. You're right. You're right. I don't know how to shut the fuck up. I'm always talking to myself and overthinking everything. So everyone in chat can agree with that. Guarantee it. You could call it a point of view. I like to call it, getting quiet. Stop talking to yourself so much. Let these thoughts and feelings unfold without having to put your 2 cents into it, right? So that's a good way to put it too. Let these thoughts and feelings happen without always having to put your 2 cents into it. Because us people that have been through sensitization, or some of you guys that are currently going through it, we're always wanting to put our 2 cents into everything, right? That was my biggest problem. I always wanted to put my 2 damn cents in everything that I was feeling or every thought that I had. Always, always had to put my 2 damn cents into every feeling that I had and every thought that I had. Always had to do that. It's like I couldn't, back before I knew how destructive it was, I just let it happen. I kept building that bad habit, but always just wanting to put my 2 damn cents into everything. Instead of just being like, oh, well, that was crazy, so be it. Alright, guys, we just surpassed, stretch, that 1 hour mark. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Can I keep being a proud overthinker when healed? So would I not overthink anxiety, but overthink the rest of my life? If you want, if you want to, I mean, if you want to, there's nothing necessarily wrong with thinking as long as it's not rooted in that second fear, denial of your feelings, denial of your thoughts, fighting with your thoughts, fighting with your feelings. There's nothing wrong with necessarily being a daydreamer and thinking about things, but 9 times out of 10 it's usually negative and it's rooted in denial and rooted in fear and rooted in a fight, right? So that's when it is a problem. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with being a thinker, but once you start to get into that fighting sort of thinking, denial sort of thinking, resistance, second fear sort of thinking, that's when it will become a problem. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wind it down. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Another excellent stream. I hope it helps somebody out there. Let's try to get to that 20K, man. Let's keep building from here. Thank you guys so much. Like the stream if you enjoyed it. Thank you for the 9-day streak. And I'm sure I'll see you guys very, very soon. Until next time.